Alright, bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I'm going to talk about 6 items or 5 items plus 1 to make it more handy for search terms. 6 things that I regret buying and almost never used or will use ever again for the reasons I'm going to tell. But before we do that, if you're interested in detective stories, there will be a link to my first book called Bloody Crosses and also a link to my survival training courses in Belgium. So if you're interested, take a look. So we all have, as preppers, we all have things that we regret buying. Things that might were not up to expectations. Perhaps they were completely scams, or things that are not as good as they claim to be. These are 5 plus 1 items that I bought, thought they were good, and I almost never used them after one test. Alright, let's see. First of all, things that I almost never used were these Paracord bracelets. You have these in all types. You have paracords with a compass on top of it. You have just the regular ones. You have the ones with a whistle on top of it. I also had one where you had a little sparkler striker on top of it. And the main idea about this is, if you're going somewhere, you just put it around your how do you say this? Your poles, and you walk around. And if you need some paracord or the little trinket that is on top of it, you use it that way. But I never used this in my life actually, and it was actually just not even with testing. I never even thought about bringing it. Why? First of all, these bracelets are usually pre-made, so unless you make your own bracelets out of paracord, you will always have it in the wrong measurement. Like, as you can see, these fly around, so if you're doing some task, this will make friction to your poles, to your skin, and that is annoying. If they are too small, like I had once had a bracelet and that was much too small, so I had to hang it to my backpack. So it was too small and it did not even fit around it. So that was completely waste of money. And yeah, you can make them shorter, but you have to do it all over again. And after you use it once, you're going to put it in your backpack anyway. So it's not really a use for having it. It's perhaps good for an emergency thing, like if you're going on a plane or a helicopter ride in the wilderness or something, then you're not allowed to bring your backpack or something like that. Then I can see why you would want to have this. And another thing is the trinkets. If you're going to use them, yeah, these trinkets are usually also in other parts of your gear. For example, this is for the one with the whistle. I have whistles on my backpack that are in the same clips, and you can use them. I also have jackets where they are inside of it. So if I need a compass, yeah, if I'm going to need a compass, I usually have my map, and my compass is always with my map, with the big compass that I can triangulate my position. So if it's just for walking around to see what direction, I have better chance to look at directions for like the sun and a watch or something to find my direction. So it's not really that necessary. And to make a fire, yeah, with it is only this kind of small striker inside of it. So I'm better off with having a full striker instead of this. So like I said, it's not really worth it to buying, and it was a waste of money in my opinion. So it's more handy to have a place where you can keep it neatly together, your paracords. But the problem is, if you need your paracord, for example, if I'm going to set up my tarp, I need a cord. Yeah, I prefer to have my cord that I can roll up again, put in my backpack, than to put this all together again. So yeah, these paracord arm bracelets are not really worth buying it, and I never used them or had to use them actually. Alright, next thing, MREs. We all know MREs. They can be good for certain situations, but to be honest, the only times I used MREs is just for shits and giggles, to make videos about it or to have a laugh with my friends to see what's all inside of them. But in the field, during a hike, during a bug out exercise. I almost never took them. I made so many videos about this, and it's because they are too big, too expensive, and contain too many things that you never going to use anyway, because you have other things in your backpack that work much better, and you have so much garbage of it. So unless you're going to leave it all behind, because yeah, otherwise you will have to take all the garbage that is inside of it, especially if it's cans that are still filled with leftover food or things that you use once, like the fire blocks. You have to take them with you if you not want to be an unethical eco disaster, so to say. So yeah, too expensive, too big, too much garbage, and too much work to. And yeah, for the calories that you get, you can just take a bag of oatmeals or some beef jerky instead of this, and you will be fine too. So I would say no, that is not worth it to, and I will never buy one of those again. I think this is the last one that is still intact. Perhaps I'm going to make a video about it with my friends to see how they react to it. Alright, the next one, and this is one of the worst ones that I had. This is one of those gas lamps. I also wanted to, because my idea was, I have so many gas canisters loaded up in my pantries, so I thought, why should I not get a gas lamp? And I figured out the reason why. First of all, it's not really handy because yeah, you have to reload it always with a canister, and if you're going to use it, what I did not know was you have to have one of these socks that you keep on top of it. But the problem is, whenever that sock is burned out, perhaps after X amount of uses, you will have to buy a whole. It's more cheaper to buy a whole thing with a sock inside of it than to find a new sock to put over the lighter. First, I will demonstrate you. It's also annoying to line up. Wait, first, I'm going to close this. Yeah, it's a little bit daylight, but I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, in the darkness it will give a brighter light, but my problem is, yeah, it's very dangerous because if this falls over, it will still spew gas, it will still get heated, get flamed on by the sock, and yeah, for the amount of light you get, you can better get a flashlight with a crank on top of it or something like that. And you always have to carry it like this, because if you're going to move it and carry it like this, now I cannot go further than this because this is very hot, and yeah, I do not want to burn my fingers by holding it like this or hanging it up somewhere, because this part is getting so hot above, you cannot even hang it up somewhere without the risk that the roof is going to be on fire. I don't know if you can see it in this daylight, but now you can see that it's really light. And you can also not use it in a closed room because of all the gas and the monoxide poisoning that will happen to it if you keep it burning longer. And yeah, it will use a lot of gas canisters that you can better use to cook than to use for lighting. So it's only best to use on camping. And as you can hear it, it makes a lot of noise. So yeah, these are all the reasons why I really regret buying this thing. And it's also really breakable. The moment you will drop this by accident, you see what I mean? You will break this off, the glass will break, or this cap will get loose very easily because of all the loose parts that are on top of it. I don't know if you can see it, the sock, but I really regret buying this. And even if it's done, it will stay too hot for too long to put it in your backpack or something. So for an emergency escape during a pause or a night's rest, it's just horrible. So don't buy that kind of thing, I would say. Next thing, and this is also something that I really don't like. I once made a video about it where I used one of these that was a little bit older. It cracked into two. My whole hands were full of glow stick fluid, And yeah, these kind of nice sticks. These are very many years old. These are even the ones that I bought when I started prepping about 10 years ago. So yeah, they are above date. They are perhaps they will break again if I try to use them. But to be honest, I never use them, and they are also one-time use. And yeah, they will only be good for 8 hours or something, and then they lose their effect. And they are very, how do you say this? You cannot sit too close to heat because you will degrade the plastic around it. And after you use it, you have to usually take them with you because yeah, you don't want to be, like I said, you don't want to be an eco disaster if you leave them out during a hike or a bug out exercise. And I'm going to try to use one of them to see, because this one is, I think, how old was it? There is nowhere a date on it, but I know they are at least 8 years old. So I will try to snap it. Oh shit. I don't even think these are working anymore. They don't even give light anymore, so the chemicals are even not usable anymore. Last time I did it, I cracked it full open, and I had to wash my hands many times after that. So glow sticks, chemical glow sticks, are just a waste of money in my opinion, unless for if you expect a blackout or something. But yeah, like I said, they are containing a lot of chemical waste after it, and it's not really safe, and you have to get rid of it. So glow sticks, not really a good idea. Next thing, these are one of those foam pads that are that you can roll up, but I hate these things because it's just not practical in my opinion. Yeah, they are usable. Don't hear me that. But the problem is they are big, they are bulky. You have always you have you have to be always meticulous when you roll them up, and as you can see, they take a lot of space. And what I hate the most about them is if you have a sleeping bag or a tent and you want to roll them open, because you always roll them close like this, they will always have the tendency to roll back in again. So the moment you go out of your sleeping bag or your tent to take a piss, you have to do the origami dance again to open it again. You lose a lot of heat that way, and that's really annoying. And another thing that I hate is if you're going to put this in a sleeping bag, you always have, it's very difficult to get it in, and even your sleeping bag will bounce back. That's the reason why like I said in a previous video, I prefer these ones. You can fold them, you can fold this just up like that, and you can close them back just easy as get. Take less space in because it's more efficient that way. And another thing is you can fold it open and shove it in your tent or your sleeping bag without any problems. So yeah, these roll-up foam pads I really don't like. And the last item, the +1 item, something that I tested once but I lost it a bit. That is one of those emergency sleeping bags. You would think, what is wrong with this? It is small, handy, it can protect you against wind, rain, and in emergency you can sleep in it and stay warm. But any person who has really tested this out, and I'm not talking about testing in a car I'm talking about testing it in sub-zero temperatures or even not zero temperatures, even if it's like a few degrees above zero. And yeah, these are annoying for one reason all. With for example, with an immersion blanket, you can wrap them around you and you have multiple layers of insulation. With this, it's only one layer of insulation around you, so it's not really that effective. And the biggest thing that I don't like about this is it will get wet. And as there's one thing that you do not want to have during an emergency situation where you need to sleep or rest or try to stay warm, is to get wet. Because this is, like I said, waterproof. You get inside of it, but all your breathing, because if you're freezing and you're going to sleep, you will not just put it like that and breathe outside. You will put as much around it to even keep your head warm. You're breathing in, you're sweating, you're vaporizing moisture that you already had, because you're not going to sleep in here naked, so you're going to sleep with your clothing. So the clothing that you wore all day is also moist, and that moist will vaporize, and that vaporization will fall back on the inside of these bags if you're sleeping inside of it. So what will happen? You will stay warm for perhaps a few hours, but after that, you get out, you're full wet, and you're now in the freezing cold, fully wet, and that is even more dangerous in my opinion. What I always prefer to use is just my woolen my woolen trench coat or woolen blanket with on top of it a poncho, because then at least there is some room to breathe. The wind and the moisture cannot get in, but there are still places where the moisture can vaporize and get out of here. And even when it gets wet with the trench coat, with the woolen trench coat, you will retain 80% of your insulation value even when it's soaking wet, and that's something that you do not have with these kind of sleeping bags. There are other things you can do with them, perhaps like gathering water as an emergency signal, because they are usually bright orange and the inside is like this aluminium foily silver kind of reflection color, and yeah, they are very breakable. That's also a thing. Yeah, of course you can get it. Some models are perhaps better than others, but usually these are like emergency blankets. If you do not watch out, or you're rolling on the wrong side, pull too hard, or you get a little edgy corner that is poking something to the side, it will rip open like nothing. So yeah, that's something that I don't like, and I never used it actually in the field. I used it for some tests outside, but even when during winter, after half an hour, I said this will not last for the night, and even then I had problems with moist forming around it, and I said nope, this is not going to work. So yeah, these were the 5+1 items that I would never that I regret buying and would never use again, or haven't used properly actually in the field, because I already thought they were not that good. If you know any other items that were like this, leave them in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and see you next video. Cheers!